Okay.
Yeah. Way outside, this you read. That's good too.
It is 9 a.m. I'm going to call this meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners to order. It is Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Cindy, would you lead us today? 9 a.m. I'm going to call this meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners to order. State of the United States, 2022. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lee, we have feedback. She's still pledging.
Is there a remote for it?
Lee, we have feedback. Oh my goodness. He's froze, so I don't know. I keep saying it. Yeah, he froze. Or what? Yeah, no. Okay, get serious.
I don't know how to turn this thing down. Oh, there. Okay, it's muted. We can at least do that. till
Yeah,
he
that will
jumps
help.
back on.
Are we gonna wait for Lee? Otherwise, he said just a call if we have issues, but I think he was gonna, I don't know if he wanted to share his screen.
Never noticed that.
How can you see it?
It gets worse. Thanks, JT.
It's not a fault. It's a glare.
It's a glare, yeah. Should we try and call?
Yeah, I don't know. Are you having any luck, Natalie, or should we just call him? Okay. He's frozen. Oh, you're gonna make me think of that.
We have a quorum, we could certainly progress.
Yes,
Yeah, we
I
can
just
go.
didn't know if he was, we can give him a call. Okay, with that. Lee was streaming. We'll see if he can rejoin us or we'll just call him. Item number 2, call for public comment. Public comment may be submitted via telephone on the phone numbers 882-6248 or 882-6297. These are items that are not on the agenda and for information only. And we will address them during the open part of our meeting. Item number 3, conflict of interest items. Are there any for fellow commissioners?
None.
Okay. I guess I would also mention we are streaming live on YouTube, and if you need to take a call, if you could step out, otherwise, please silence your phones. Item number 4, action to approve the January 18th, 2022
So moved.
agenda.
Second.
Motion by Van Duzen, second by Waterman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 5, action to approve the January 11th, 2022 minutes of the Codington County Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Johnson, second by Van Duzen. Any corrections or of any commissioners that you've seen? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Let's move on then to monthly reports. We'll start with the facility manager, Steve.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning, Steve.
Turn your mic on. Steve. There you go.
There you go. Okay. Commissioner Gable is joining us. Okay, that's all right. I wonder then you have to need to,
I'm back. Yeah.
okay, good. We can hear him.
Okay, I'll start out with government buildings. Working on a re-roof project this year, meeting this week with the engineers to go over that. Pretty well, everything, nothing otherwise on the buildings except for some snow removal here and there. Detention center, sent plans to Johnson Control for the boilers and heating system to get some estimates on the cost for that project for budgeting for 2023. Ag building, farm show is all set up in there. They'll come in, I believe it's next week. We got it set up to, no, 2 weeks from now to set up to come in and tape and put all the partitions or the dividers in, curtain dividers, I should say. The in the weed, I've sent in the reports, they're done. Recertification starts this coming spring or winter here. In another week, there'll be recertification in Sioux Falls or in Aberdeen, and 2 weeks from now, one in Sioux Falls. And my staff and I will be attending some of them. I was also asked to work the farm show in Sioux Falls on the 28th of January, and plus work the Watertown Farm Show on the 12th of February. Then our weed conference, which was scheduled to be in Mitchell, of course, the Ramada Inn being closed down, that's where we're going to hold that. It has been moved to Huron to the Crossroads. Then out at the park, trees are going to be cut by the highway shop, some trees out there that are need of it. Plus they've also hauled out a bunch of the twigs, the pile that was out there to the day pit. Kind of covers anything. Anybody have any questions on anything that you know of?
How about the generator? What's the status? What are we thinking on that?
I don't know that. I haven't really discussed too much with that yet. I know there's possibilities. We have thought about turning around and taking the generator from the from over at the detention center, move that to the ag building, take the one from the ag building, go out to the highway shop, and then put a larger unit to supply the detention center and the courthouse. Did talk to Jim a little bit on that and the size of the unit and the amount of price on it when they had looked into it before was just astronomical. But I'll get somebody in to get some estimates and so yeah, of some possibilities on that. So
Right. The only way I think that that's something that could happen is if they relax some of the restrictions on that
True,
ARPA money.
yeah.
So
it can help some funding, so that, so
if that's relaxed, then something we can do.
oops, I think we're disconnected. This one must not have been snapped in. There we go.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions for Steve? Hearing none, why don't we take up your item number 7, action to approve the Memorial Park Reservation policy.
Since I have sent this out last week, had a couple concerns and so yeah on this. One of the things is on the bookings that will be accepted 95 days out. That is kind of confusing. A lot of people call in and they think that they can book past that 95 day. I wanted to put clarification in there that it cannot exceed the 95th day of the stay. So kind of doing some wording on that. Also on the group sites that for the year in advance, also wanted to put in there, this is a non-cancelable because there's been people that will call in, make reservation. Other ones would like to do the date. When it ends up turning around and coming close to the time, they cancel. And then it makes, people can't rely on it. So I'd like to turn on add in there. This is non-cancelable, non-refundable except,
Right, they can cancel,
Yes.
but they just won't be refunded.
right. And then also there has been talk a little bit about our booking fees and so that. I know I had discussed a little bit yesterday with Charlie on this and so that. If the city of Watertown booking fees is $5 for online and $10 for administrative fee, basically for call-in. When they had done this, it created at the end of the year, nearly 90% online sales. And that is one thing I think we need to discuss on that, if we want to go or pursue or just stay this way.
Ours currently is.
Ours is $2 booking fee if you book online, and a $5 fee if you call in.
That's what it is right now.
What's that?
That's the way it is right
That is
now.
currently right now.
And what's the percentage of online versus by
Ours
phone?
is roughly about 55% online.
Okay,
I won't have this to accept. I want to turn around and make some changes and so that come back at a later time for this.
Would we, is that the direction that we'd like to go? Would we like to
That's-
consider going to an all computerized booking system?
Well, I'm not saying all, but to promote a higher percentage.
Mhm.
One of the things that Becky and I was discussing and so that was we have discount, there's a discount and so that for weekly, monthly. She advised to get away from it because of the demand of the camping situation out there. City park and state parks don't have those kind of things. There are some out there for private campgrounds that offer those things. I would rather turn around and just have it in season. So that mostly in season bookings and so that. So, and not having discounts because there's a demand. But that is the projection that I would like to see go for future. It wouldn't go effect. If it would get, it wouldn't go effect until 2023, of course.
Well, maybe part of the reason that there is such a demand is because of the ability of booking too.
Well, and yeah, but state parks are high there. I mean, Sandy Shores and Pelican hit record years, and they've been setting record years each year. All state parks have been. There's a high demand. It's a huge. COVID's really set that in motion all over and stuff. So.
Well, it would give it, if we went to a different fee structure for booking, it would certainly free up our personnel that we have out there, the managers, to take care of the things.
Right. I mean, they're either contacted. They can, if they're not in the office, they forward the phone to their cell phone and so that, and otherwise generally they're in that office most of the time. So that, they get calls, it starts and it goes all day long and so that. So, and it kind of frees them up to be able to get out in the park a little more often too. But I know City of Watertown, their reservation time frame basically is 11 to 1. Yeah. It's a short window. State parks have call in, they have a call center. And so that, so. I would like to promote a little more of online and so that it frees up a little bit of time, but
How is
they
it?
are managers out there all the time too, so.
Right. What's everybody's feeling on the year in advance booking a building, or, I don't have a problem with that. What about the what do I want to say? Like 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, those holidays are in more demand, and for people to have the possibility of being able to book. Would we ever consider, and I know this would maybe be a lot of work, I don't know, just a thought that we wouldn't book those out a year in advance, that those would be available for first come, first serve. but for individuals on the off holidays would be able to book a year in advance.
Just, I think that that's going to add to confusion. And to me, I would rather just have it across the board, either one.
I
way
would
or
say it's
another.
gonna add confusion and so that. We've had incidences where, Father's Day is not a major holiday. And there's a group of people that they're in a predicament now that they're fighting each other for spots. And so they're booking a few days in advance just to get spots, when they're doing the year out ahead. And it's becoming a tug of war. So on that.
Okay, so everyone's okay with the
Are
no
you
longer being
proposing
able
this, or
to.
you're this is
I'm just gonna,
informational?
I'm not gonna put this, I'm gonna.
Right.
This is
I have to come
informational
back.
only
Yeah, this is
today.
information
Right.
today.
I
So
just
just
wanted to
to-
have that discussion so we know going forward, like,
Madam Chair, if I
Yes.
may ask a question, just real quick. Again, what was the reasoning for the 95 days instead of 90 days?
Okay. When we had last year, we had Memorial Day weekend coming up, and then everybody's used with the state system where they can turn around and start at that 90-day to book out ahead
Mhm.
and book for 2 weeks in advance. Our program is not designed, will not do that. It only goes up to that 90, it would have been, if that would have been 90th day. Well, when I start looking at it, we could change the program and we could change it to go to 104 days. So we did set that in motion last year. Well, when that set that in motion, they could book out the weekend ahead. Instead of at that 90-day, they could have went out and done the 100 to 104 days. That's the way the system was.
Sure.
So I started looking at examining what would be the best way so they could turn around and be able to come book like on a Wednesday or Thursday and go through the weekend. The 95-day created that and it didn't run into the following weekend.
Okay.
That's why I set it up. City Park, though, they're on the same system we are, but they just put it as 90 days. That's where there's a set. So you can't book anything past that 90 days on the system.
Have you heard from any campers that
You
don't
know,
like this?
Right
What's the
away
feedback you're
at
getting?
the beginning, it was a lot of confusion, a lot of people, but I think towards the end of the season, I had never really heard anymore. Nobody really said anything on it. I think they've gotten used to knowing how it works. We do I'm great now. There's some emails coming through saying, well, we're trying to book and stuff like that, but we can't. It said it's unavailable. Well, that's because it's not up and live.
Right.
I mean, if they read on there, they'll send an email out, and of course the email responds back to them that the park doesn't open. They can start booking in the 1st of February, and it's 95 days out and stuff like that. So that is being explained, but but a lot of people don't understand quite how the 90 some days. And that's why I wanted to had it a little bit. We had taken a look, Becky and I had taken a look at what the city had. Theirs had this wording, but 90 days doesn't give an explanation. We felt that we kind of need, talking with Walls, we kind of need a little bit of an explanation on that. So just to make it clarification. And I think the wording that was developed and so that this past weekend probably would simplify it. I have a sister-in-law that is the manager of the Ramcota, and she kind of helped me, with their reservation, how to word that to make it sound that the end time would be. So.
all right,
I will probably come back to you with this. I won't be able to do it next week. Of course, next week, Tuesday, I have recertification and so that, so it would have to be the following week.
I would see nothing wrong with that, the $2 booking fee to change that to $5 either. I mean, that's not gonna keep anyone from booking.
No, and the thing of it is will we change the booking fee for call in at a higher rate too?
Yeah.
Make it the same as city? I mean,
I like the fact that we're just really kind of getting in line with everybody else and what everybody else is doing. I mean, it just really seems like it's going to streamline things for us. And if I want to camp or if I want to reserve a site out there, I know that I can do it within this time frame. It's just like the state and the city. I mean, just makes sense that everybody's doing the same
And
thing.
I'll have to agree with you, Troy,
Yeah.
that it need to make everything more uniform in this area. And so that's why, you know, looking at having that also changed. I mean, like it is ours with this group deal, we're the only one that really does that. City of Watertown does not do that. They actually have to call the office for reservation for the picnic area. You know, we have quite a bit. We can get it into our system too, the book for picnic shelter or the building online also. We just don't have it. That has basically been a call in, because majority of the time that has been basically reunions and stuff like that. But you know, if some party wants to be able to book it, you know, for their private reunion.
Yeah.
You know, there are spots opened up during now season, especially on certain buildings and stuff too. So, and if that was offered online, that would give them an opportunity to look too.
Right. I do like keeping that in though for individuals who are trying to plan family reunions so that they're able to know that
Yeah.
everyone can get in together. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why, and then like it is, that's why when Becky and I were sitting down, well, if we did, we had it broke down reunions and everything, and then I come up, how about groups? Because that would clarify a lot of people. And then she said, well, what would you say, consider size of group? In our discussion together, we kind of tossed back and forth, and we'd come up with 8 in a group to reserve it. The thing of it is if you get down the road and, oh, we're gonna have one cancel, so now we don't need a building, so they can just use it at their campsite. Then you missed the opportunity that others would like to do that weekend too. So that's why I would put in there a non-refundable.
Then those
you're-
campsites just go unused for that weekend.
Well, they go
You
and
can't-
use, or that party could turn around and say, okay, we have this campsite open. I mean, that happens quite a bit with the state. You're
Mhm.
technically, I don't think with the state, you're supposed to allow that, but
Right.
it happens.
Double booking on a site.
Yeah,
You could have a waiting list as well. if you're
true.
willing to cover that.
True.
Does the online recognize that though? If there's individuals that want that site, is there a thing in there?
Not
for
really,
waiting?
no, that there's not really, that would be basically at the office.
Calling.
Right now, currently, if there's somebody that was looking, they write it down, so they add that if something's canceled, they can get a hold of them. The biggest thing is a lot of times is those cancellations happen within a week or two,
Mhm.
and that makes it tougher for individuals.
Planning.
Okay, they've already had other plans already.
Right.
It's more or less, they gotta put a little skin in the game on this, and really, and personally, you know, have to think this through.
Mhm.
Yeah, life happens too.
And life does happen.
You
There
know,
is
things
incidents that's gonna
come up.
happen. It's
Yeah.
gonna, it's just the way it is.
And you may have individuals that all of a sudden are able to, so
Mhm.
they can maybe fill in those spots, so, all right. So this is just for our information today. You'll get
Yes.
something put together
Yep.
and
And
email
probably,
it.
I'll have it probably the first Tuesday. I believe that would be
You'll have to send me an email.
yep, I will send you an email on
Yep.
that. Yes.
Okay,
All right.
very good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate your work on that. It's like it's coming
I'll
together
look at it
nicely.
again.
All right, we'll move on then to Highway Superintendent report.
Morning,
Morning,
Rick.
Rick.
All right.
Good morning. It's been kind of a quiet month, which is nice for the highway department. The guys finished up with inventory. When it was so cold, we pulled some more tractors in to get them cleaned up and ready for spring use. Also, some of our trailers, we had to put some new reflectors and stuff on. We brought them in, cleaned them up. Like Steve mentioned, we were out cutting trees at Memorial Park, cleaning up a big brush pile that they always have every year. It's kind of in a low spot, so if we have much moisture, they can't get it out. So we take care of that. We went around the towns and some of the spots on the road where the motor graders get their mirrors and antennas. Every year we have stuff that we have to trim up. Some of that stuff grows pretty quick. The guys have also brought the crack sealer in. After this week, we're gonna probably start crack sealing some areas, because we've got a lot of miles of road that got paved this year. And but we've got to wait till the cracks get big enough to be able to seal those up. Well, the snow that we had on Friday, the wind blew, so we had to work on Saturday, worked over half a day on Saturday. The guys were out yesterday again because the wind blew on Sunday, made kind of a mess of some of the roads. We got all that cleaned up. They're still out this morning with a few spots that need to be sanded, plowed off, winged. Well, it's not some of them, but a lot of our roads, the gravel, the blacktop, the frost heaves are coming in really bad with all the moisture that we had this fall. And my recommendation to people is just slow down, especially pulling a trailer, because I know some of them, there's no warning. It's all once you're just there on it, and it's really rough. So
Railroad tracks will get worse too.
yeah, railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Do you flag those ever? Do you flag any of the heaves at all?
Yeah, we have certain areas every year that we have bump signs up. We take them down in the spring after they mellow out, and we put them up in the fall. Most of the ones that we put the bump signs up are already up. We've got a couple more that need to get done, because I noticed this year there's a couple of them that have showed up that they're dandies. So, but slow down. Even our plow truck drivers have slowed down because the plow
Catching on the heaves and bumps.
catching and it bounces.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not a good deal right
There's a
now.
pretty good one by the old KSDR tower on 81 here. As you turn to go towards the interstate, there's lights on it. You have lights on it, but still, I mean, it'll catch you if you're not paying attention to
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, the railroad tracks on 81 and then on County Road 6 going towards the interstate, we have lights on both of those.
Yeah.
Because those are rough. I know down by Grover, those are rough also. And you know, most of the time in the spring or in the summer when it mellows out, it's not a bad crossing. It's just, but the one up on 11, they need to replace that. I've had a conversation with the railroad this fall, because those rubber mats, I had somebody call in and said there was spikes sticking up out of the road that were damaging tires. And I went up and yeah, I pulled 2 or 3 spikes out of the driving lane, and I got a hold of the railroad, and so hopefully this summer they can replace that crossing, because it's bad.
It's been several years. It's
You
been
know,
bad.
there again, whenever you go across them, they're rough. There's a number on those crossings. Call it every day. Call it 10 times a day. You know, that'll help. Just my calling them, it doesn't do a lot, but when the traveling public starts getting on them, because the railroad kind of pretty much does whatever they want, so.
Not pretty much, they do whatever they want.
Yeah, so there's a number and a crossing number on each one of them. And let them know.
Right, maybe our railroad authority guys can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's dealt with them.
Mhm.
So that's all I have.
All right. Why don't we then move on with Wayland, review of the Hall Road Restoration Project. Wayland with Banner Associates.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
I
really?
did bring some memos.
Yes, thank you.
And I guess I just recommend it discussed. I wanted the opportunity to maybe give a little overview and a recap of the restoration project. Give you guys some information on, I guess, a project that the county technically did fund. And then it's also a little bit a preview of, we sent an abstract to the county highway superintendents. To present at the county highway superintendents conference, and they selected us to give an hour presentation there as well on the process of the from haul road agreements to the roadway inspections and then the roadway restoration work. So a lot of this information will be expanded upon there, but I think Rick was even gonna participate in the presentation a little bit.
Do you want to come up, Rick?
Sorry, at the highway
Oh,
superintendent's conference.
okay. I was gonna say, okay,
So-
you can come up here then.
Since he'll be out there anyways.
I
he might
got
as
you.
well step
He's
up in
like,
front of
"I am."
everybody and say,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, now I know what he's talking about.
So anyways, I just jotted down some items on this memo here and thought I would go through it. It's the topics that I thought maybe would be important to the Board of Commission to understand about the project. So in general, I think the project scope is well understood. It was various restoration efforts to address damages that were caused on 60 miles of Codington County highways, roads. So 37 miles of asphalt surface road and 23 miles of gravel surface roadway. It's certainly an enormous project in terms of miles from anything I know that our firm has ever done or worked on. So a big accomplishment by the county to be able to get the work done. The project team, the owner representative was Rick Hartley. And then for Banner Associates, myself as the project manager, and we had 2 field engineers that were on site pretty much the entire time that work was being done out there, Jordan Roggenbuck and Landon Buse. And then we did utilize geotech engineering and testing out of Sioux Falls to do some quality control testing, just to make sure that that the materials were up to spec and installed appropriately. If you recall, the project budget target that was agreed upon between Codington County and NextEra back in June was $11,484,475. That was intended to cover construction as well as engineering and testing services and any other outstanding costs that maybe came up through the process. The construction bid, just to touch on that, there was 3 bids that ranged from $8,049,425.25 to $11,441 or $441,355. The successful general contractor was Dunick Incorporated. They're out of Princeburg, Minnesota. And then they had subcontractors that provided various services on the project. They're listed there: Traffic Solutions, Louisa Construction, All States Pavement Recycle, and Skyview Construction. And I'll cover what each of them did on the project here in a few points here. The anticipated project timeline, substantial completion was set for November 12th and final completion was set for November 26th. And the actual final project timeline, the substantial completion was met November 12th. Now we define substantial completion as when the project is complete enough so that way it can be utilized for its intended purpose. And so the roadway surfacing, once that was in place, we consider it substantially complete. And then some of the touch up and then also the vegetation restoration was after that. Final completion, the erosion control and seeding subcontractor ceased work on December 8th once conditions no longer really allowed them to be able to perform the work in a manner that we thought would be beneficial to the county or satisfactory come spring. So realistically, the project pretty well followed the anticipated timelines.
They will begin that, not to interrupt, but they will begin that process again this spring.
Yes, so they will complete the remainder of the seeding this spring.
Okay.
And so as far as construction change orders are concerned, there were 4 change orders on the project, resulting in a net decrease of the total construction contract of $37,572.86. Now that's a little bit misleading because there is some carryover work that was not paid this year. And so the actual cost of the project increased, and I'll touch on that as well. But the contract that was paid out by the county to the general contractor was $37,000 and some change less than what the original bid was. Those change orders, we typically address change orders anytime that there's a material or product that's being installed on the project that has completed that material or product or that bid item. Then we like to adjust the quantities from what was bid or what was estimated to what the actual in place quantity was. And in doing so, that requires a change in the contract value. And so sometimes folks will look at 4 change orders and think that there must have been a lot of things that weren't considered on the project or that went wrong or whatnot. And it's just a product of how we try to address that to keep the contract value up to date every month. I guess some entities do it differently and wait till the very end and then do one big overhaul, but it's a lot easier to get lost in the numbers if that's the case, especially when you have multiple people involved. So that's how we like to try to address it. So the final construction cost, not including the carryover work, was $8,011,852.39. So as far as the construction itself, the construction sequencing was determined by the general contractor, of course. It went as follows. They reclaimed the asphalt roadways and stabilized the base on those roadways. So that asphalt reclamation was done by Louisa Construction. They're out of Flandreau. And then the base stabilization was also done by Louisa Construction. That base stabilization consisted of injecting a chemical stabilizer into the reclaimed material, and that chemical stabilizer reacts to provide a more solid foundation. There's additional ways that you can do that. There's a concrete stabilization that is also used sometimes. It's not as common in granular material. It's more common in like subgrade clay type material, but it serves the same purpose. It reestablishes, I guess, the strength in your base, which is, in asphalt roads, that's really where the strength of your whole roadway comes. Your pavement is flexible and intended to crack in order to be able to move with the ground, especially in this part of the country where you have, just as Rick had said, you're seeing a lot of frost heaves and this and that you can't avoid that. And so you do what you can to try to mitigate it. Following the reclamation and stabilization, the asphalt roadways were milled that were required milling. And then there was some dig out patching. So there was areas in those milled sections where they had seen or experienced damages worse than the remainder of the section. And so we did take those areas out, reestablish the base beneath them, and then pave those patches back in. What followed then was the asphalt roadway paving. The contractor paved the bottom lift of all of the miles that were reclaimed. Then they paved a top lift on all of the milled miles and then finished with a top lift on all of the reclaimed miles, working away from South Shore on the outgoing stretch and then all the way back up to South Shore on the top lift. Once the asphalt paving was completed, gravel roadway dig outs of unsuitable material took place. So there was areas that were identified where maybe some topsoil and organic material had migrated to the surface, or just soft areas in general that had exposed themselves throughout construction. Those areas were identified and dug out, and granular material was placed there to help bridge some of the instabilities. Then base course was installed on top of all of the gravel roadways, and again to provide a consistent foundation for the gravel surfacing that was to come. And it was also utilized to reshape the roadways. A lot of the roadways had experienced some maintenance that caused them to have some quarter crowns, is what we call it, where it breaks 2 times across the roadway, or just a singular cross slope or crown slope that was much steeper than what was previously in place there. So the base course, by adding that, it allows you to work that material a little bit. So then that led right into the reestablishment of the roadway width and the crown slope. And then the gravel surfacing took place. So there was 3 inches of gravel surfacing material that was installed on all gravel roadways that were utilized on the project. And then shoulder, inslope, and turf restoration, essentially trying to tie in and restore the edge of the roadway to a condition in which vegetation can grow and it can help hold the edges in. As far as work performed, that was not anticipated in the construction documents. So there was a handful of items, and some of them came to you guys through change orders, and others it was just a matter of adjusting quantities in order to address the items. But there was a collapsed culvert that was encountered beneath Codington County Road number 3, just north of Waverly Street. It was actually completely embedded on both sides of the roadway. And as they were reclaiming material over top of it, their reclaimer actually fell into it. So it was necessary to remove that culvert and replace that void with some granular material to avoid any future collapse of the roadway. So that was something that was interesting. I don't think anybody really even knew the culvert was there, to be honest with you. It obviously had been buried long ago in the inslopes.
Hey, Wayland?
Yes, Lee.
So was that collapse due to the construction of the wind tower project, or was it already collapsed, or what?
You know, I guess obviously that's very hard to tell, Lee. Like I noted, it was not visible on either side of the roadway, so it had been buried at some point in time in the past, and the inslope was established over top of it, where it's not like it was buried recently. My assumption is that it was an old crossing that didn't carry any water, and at some point in time it, operations filled the ends of it, and then it continued to grow and establish vegetation, and it was lost and gone forever. So it was in pretty poor condition though. So I guess even if it were because of the project, it's a good thing that it collapsed, or it's a good thing that they damaged it enough to do that so that we could find it, I would say.
So basically that culvert was removed and just filled in.
Yes,
basically.
yep. So we used some of the backfill material that was around it to
No new culverts.
make a flat bottom, and then we used geotextile fabric to separate that clay material from base course, and then we used base course to backfill it and bridge it all the way up.
Thanks.
Yep, no, good question, Lee.
I'm guessing that was a little 18-inch culvert then.
No, it was,
12?
it was larger than that. It was, I want to say it was a 24 or 30-inch culvert.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good size, because in the end, our hole was about 10 foot wide.
It's a big culvert to lose.
Yeah, but like I said,
Time marches on.
At one point, water was flowing through there.
right, and it wasn't at the low point, so
Mhm.
I think, Rick, you recall, was there another culvert that was like 30 or 40 feet? I don't
recall another culvert being close to that,
don't you?
and I thought it was bigger than that.
Did you? Maybe it was even big. Do you think it was that big?
I didn't get to see it, so.
I didn't actually get to see it either.
I
So-
think it was bigger.
So our field guys, sorry, we're up here, and when they collapsed it, obviously they restored it, that area all that same day.
Maybe that's all it really was a cattle pass.
And maybe that's what it
Yeah.
was a cattle path,
Mhm.
but
Well, then the water ever did run through it.
Maybe
probably.
not.
Oh,
inadvertently maybe, but not
Yeah.
on purpose. But either way, because it wasn't in the low spot in the ditch, I guess I should say, and so that's
Yeah, it's odd.
anyways, it was found, and that area restored, so that way hopefully it avoids a future collapse, or avoid what was inevitably probably a future collapse. There was a corrugated plastic pipe that was utilized under an approach for drainage on one of NextEra's facilities through one of the approaches that they built as part of the project, and that did not comply with the Codington County approach permit standards, which requires corrugated metal pipe. And so we did dig that pipe out and replace it with an acceptable size and material pipe, 18-inch corrugated metal pipe. So that was taken care of as part of this project. It wasn't planned to be part of the project, but it was paid for part of the project. The shouldering material, so it was anticipated that we would reestablish the shouldering material for all the mill and overlay miles, because that's necessary in order to be able to get that roadway milled down, and then the paver back in there to pave it back up. But it was not anticipated for the reconstruction miles, and just the way it worked out with how the roadway was reclaimed and where the profile of the roadway sat once the reclaimed material was set back in place, it became evident that it was necessary to address the shoulders and ensure that there wasn't any drop offs. And so we did add all of the miles of reclaimed asphalt pavement to have shoulders reestablished. And if you guys drove those roads, you likely noticed that some of those roads, there was drop offs right after the pavement was placed, that then they did come back and reestablish some material there. So that was the purpose of that. Let's see. Okay, and then it was not originally anticipated then to obviously seed all of those reestablished shoulders. But it became apparent through the project, as they were reestablishing with material, that the only way to probably hold that material in place was going to be to reseed it. And so that additional seeding was added onto the project, and that is actually the reason really why there's carryover seeding, because it did increase the seeding size, seeding area on the project by almost double. And I guess if you think about it, if you have 3 or 4 feet on each side of the roadway over the course of that many miles, it adds up quickly for area. So, so that will be finished up in the spring. There was 1.5 miles of asphalt roadway that while construction was taking place, while the reclaiming operations were taking place, actually, it was the 1/2 mile from Waverly Street on County Road 3 north up to County Road 6, and then the 1st mile to the west on County Road 6 there. The conditions of that road just continued to deteriorate over the spring and summer as local traffic used it. And obviously that goes to show how much initial damage was caused by the construction project, that we didn't see it feasible to just mill and overlay that roadway. There'd been too much broken up roadway beneath the millings, and it would not have provided a good product for the county in the end. So we did change that and determined that it was more suitable for reclamation and a full pavement map versus milling and overlaying. So that was one of the change orders, I believe, that was brought before you guys to make that change. And in all reality, that road had so many dig out areas in it that the change for that 1.5 miles was actually only about $100,000 to just reclaim it and reestablish a full 4-inch map versus milling, digging out all the bad areas and repaving, and then likely having reflective cracking come through almost immediately. There was as milling operations progressed, this was another item that I guess I'll say was a good learning experience for ourselves. The edges of the asphalt roadway, you know, the roadways are typically paved at a 2 or 3% crown slope, depending on the entity that owns them, in order to try to maintain some drainage, but also keep vehicles on the road. And so we had anticipated that the roadways would be at that crown slope when we had put together quantities for milling operations. And as the mill started running, we started noticing that it was daylighting on the edge of the roadway. Well, those edges of the roadway, you know, were beat down to a point where once you got past a quarter way of the roadway, the cross slope or crown slope started increasing substantially. And what that did was it decreased the amount of milling material that we were able to get off the roadway. And so we did, between, I guess, Banner and the county, we still felt that there was enough material on the roadway to be able to reclaim in order to utilize in the asphalt mix, because we did allow 20% reclaimed material in the asphalt mix. But according to the contractor's calculations, they weren't quite comfortable with what they had in their stockpile. And so we did mill an additional 2 miles. Now, it wasn't 2 extra miles from the project. It was 2 miles that we were going to reclaim. We milled 1 inch off of those miles first and then reclaimed them. And the contractor was willing to only take payment for one of those 2 miles because it was their calculation that they were determined that they needed that for their own comfort. When the project was completed, we had in the plans and specifications that the contractor had to deliver 5,000 tons of reclaimed material to the county shop if it was left over. And it turned out that there was 5,000 tons left over that were delivered to the county shop, and then another couple thousand tons that the contractor maintained ownership of, which was about exactly what they would have got off of that 2nd mile. So realistically, that cost share ended up working out. But it was a good learning experience, like I said, to understand how that crown slope was going to affect that quantity that much. The project anticipated adding gravel surfacing to all approaches, intersecting roads and driveways along the asphalt roads because we knew that the profile of the roadway would increase. We did not anticipate adding it to all of those approaches, driveways, and intersecting roads on the gravel roads. But after some discussion with the county and with the material available in the pit, we decided to add that gravel surfacing transition to every single approach and driveway.
We appreciate that
And
very much.
yeah, just, obviously don't want somebody's neighbor to get something that they don't and this
That's
and that.
right.
And so it worked out well. It resulted in about a 3,000 ton more quantity in the gravel surfacing, but in the grand scheme of it, obviously it was still pretty minuscule. So, and then there was just a small amount of concrete driveway pavement that was removed to accommodate the milling and overlaying operations in front of the county road, or on County Road 6 in front of the country barn out there. And actually the owner of that was all for doing so because, in any future operations, it would have to be done again. So we did pave a small asphalt approach instead, which will be much easier for the county to maintain in the future. As far as project incidents, from our end anyways, or what we heard about, there were very few. Two to note, the Watertown School District did contact us, and one of their buses was forced to travel on wet tack oil for a period of time when there was head-to-head traffic during paving operations. And it resulted in the bus being splattered with some of that tack oil. And between Rick and myself, we contacted Wade, the bus manager, and discussed it with him that day. And actually they took the bus to Titan Machinery, and they had a compound that was able to get it off because it was fresh. And so they, I guess they were happy that it was resolved so quickly, or that they were contacted so quickly. And I think the contractor offered them compensation for what it cost, and they said it was small enough, that Titan Machinery said that they, will work with them on it. So I believe that the contractor even sent some of their own equipment to Titan Machinery to have some cleanup work done on it, just as a courtesy for them helping the school out. And then the Waverly South Shore School District, there was one day where milling operations were taking place under Interstate 29, and some of their school personnel were delayed in the morning getting to school that day. And so because there was no room for passing, because the operations had to take place side by side, we did correspond with the school superintendent and resolved the incident and established a more consistent communication line with him. So that way we could avoid that at all costs moving forward. And so that was, other than that, we weren't made aware of any big incidences that happened. As far as that goes. As far as project communication, so we had, like I mentioned, we had field engineers on site almost daily, and they kept in contact with me daily. And then between themselves and myself, we were in contact with Rick on a almost daily basis. I would say 99% of the days that we were out here, we probably had at least one phone call with them, and many days more than that. All the parties involved in the project met on site for bi-weekly progress meetings every other Wednesday out at the pit. So that really helped keep everybody on the same page, I think, and helped catch some of the concerns that maybe could have become issues and cut them off, before they carried on a little too far. And then, like I mentioned, we did maintain regular communication with the Waverly South Shore School District, and attempted to address citizen concerns, with the general contractor, as we were informed of them. And I know the highway department addressed many themselves as well. So the communication seemed to work well on the project. As far as the quality of the product that the county received, so quality control testing was performed by both the general contractor and Banner. So the general contractor, when they're laying that many miles of asphalt out there, they like to ensure that what they're putting out there is going to pass before a test is even taken on it, because it's counterproductive for them to do the work and not know that it's going to be compliant. So on those aspects of the project, we actually just performed what we call quality assurance. And so we utilized their testing, and then we took subsequent or companion tests is what we call it, to verify that their plant was operating how they stated that it was operating, and that the product was what it was. Any tests that were resulted outside of compliance with specifications were sampled again and retested for confirmation. And at the project completion, all the material certification and testing resulted in compliance with the specs. So that was that was good as far as that's concerned. The remaining work to be done. So there was 6 miles of asphalt surfacing treatment or chip sealing that was not completed this construction season. And it was due in part to product availability. And the other part was due to temperature and seasonal limitations for completing the work. So a lot of times that work is performed earlier in the year, in the June and July. And obviously with this project not even commencing until middle of July, the timeline was tight in the first place. And then there was product and delivery shortages, drivers that had the certifications to deliver those products. And so in discussion with Rick, we determined that the best solution was the county has some chip sealing work to do in that area of the county next year anyways. So we would recommend retaining the dollars that were bid on that project from NextEra and paying the highway department to complete those 6 miles of work. And Rick stated that the value, which is approximately $179,000, would cover their cost to perform those 6 miles of chip seal. So that was how we would address those 6 miles. There's approximately 22 acres of seeding and 32 acres of mulching that was not completed this construction season due to weather limitations. The seed contractor has agreed to complete the work in the spring. So the project itself will be closed out and it will be a separate agreement with that seeding contractor, but it will hold the same value. And again, I would recommend that the county withhold the value of $30,000 from NextEra to pay the seeding subcontractor to finish that up, because it was part of the original project. And then the last thing, I guess, on that, it was necessary for Banner to remove the section and quarter corner monuments from within the roadway to protect them from displacement during construction. So especially with that reclaiming operation, over time, those monuments migrate up towards the surface, especially due to freeze thaw cycles and that sort of stuff. And so we did send surveyors out to locate, dig up and shoot all of those in the asphalt roadways and then remove them. And we're actually out there this week resetting those monuments. So that was additional or remaining work, I guess, that was to be completed.
Waylon, I have a question. So is it acceptable to NextEra and the contractor that we would retain those dollars and do the work ourselves?
Well, so I guess that's yet to be determined, Brenda. Rick is working with Lori on determining the invoices that are outstanding with NextEra still. And then I have put together a list of the costs of the construction. And I guess as a county team, we'll have to approach NextEra with our recommendation or our proposal on what there was for project costs and then what there is left that needs to be returned to them. Because those items were on the bid, I guess NextEra could say, no, you have to have the contractor complete that work. I wouldn't foresee them, since the county's not asking for more money to do the same work, I wouldn't foresee it being a big issue because it was already identified.
Right.
But it is not, you're right, it's not set in stone, I guess, that's
Still working
how
on
that
that.
will happen.
Okay.
And so we're hoping in the near future here to have a proposal that you guys can review to send to NextEra
Okay.
to cover all of that. So,
Right, because since we're going to be in the area anyways, it makes more sense for the county to do the chip sealing part of it. But yeah, for a contractor to have to come in, it's going to cost way more because it's just going to be for 6 miles. So hopefully they'll
Sure.
acknowledge that.
yeah, and I guess the thing that would maybe be in the county's favor as far as that's concerned is that bid price, the subcontract that was going to perform that work, that was the only work that subcontractor was going to perform. And typically on these projects, the general contractor also gets profit and overhead on top of the subcontractor's work. And so the value of that, obviously none of us know what the price of oil is going to be, in 6 months and that sort of stuff, but it still has a very good chance of covering even a contractor's work on that on 6 miles. But you're right, it's all it's unknown until I guess you would bid it out. So
Right. Okay.
and right, with the county having its own forces and ability to perform that work, it makes the most sense.
Right.
Just some general project statistics, 86,000 tons of asphalt pavement were placed, covering 31 miles. 58,000 tons of gravel surfacing were placed, covering 23 miles. 20,000 tons of base course were placed, covering 20 miles. And then 14.5 miles of asphalt roadway was reclaimed, stabilized, and repaved. 16.5 miles of asphalt roadway was milled and repaved. And I just like this one because of the number, 480,000 feet of roadway was striped.
We're lucky we got that done
Yeah,
with
so,
the paint issue.
yeah, right. In fact, that's interesting that you say that, Brenda. Before we bid the project out, we had actually had considerations about keeping the painting separate or not knowing what we were gonna do with it because of that concern. And we talked to a handful of contractors in the area, and a couple of them expressed concern that they wouldn't be able to bid it because they couldn't get the paint. But there was two that said that they had the paint available and they could paint it if they got the project. And one of those was one that was the subcontractor. So that was certainly a concern.
Mhm.
And then just so the project costs, and I put may not include all applicable costs, just because I don't want to, I guess, be beholden to these numbers. But the contract value paid to the general contractor was that $8,011,852.39. The asphalt surface treatment value to be completed in 2022 was $179,000. The seeding and mulching completed in 2022 is $30,000. The design and construction, engineering and testing services. So this would go from the commencement of putting the construction documents together through the completion and closeout of the project is $200,000 for a total project construction cost of $8,420,852.39. And then, like I noted, I know there's some outstanding bills still that the highway department is looking into for some of the reporting work and that sort of stuff. So that's a rundown of the project. I guess I'd welcome any questions or comments from anyone.
The only comment that I would make is that that I live out amongst that, and considering all the traffic, additional traffic that occurred during the last 2 years, it's amazing how good the roads come back together. I always had faith in the project that it would end up. I saw the one back in our home farm in that area. It's kind of refreshing when we talk to my neighbors, and most of them are very pleased with the project and how well it come together. And then they're really happy when they found out that the wind people were paying for it. That was the frosting on the cake there.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of them anticipated that was going to be county taxes, county money. It was going to pay for the restoration. And so all in all, I think, like I said, when they come back and when there's a drop off coming into the approaches, and they did a good job, come back and filled all that in and made them very, very accessible. They just plain did a good job. So I'd say congratulations. I know there's a few people out there that are griping about something, but there always is.
Mhm.
But in general, the people that I've
Yeah.
talked to, and I've talked to a lot of them, are very, very satisfied and pleased. So congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's-
Yeah, well
yeah,
done.
I would say, right, that's what Rick and I had talked about during our drive-throughs too, was when you're doing 60 miles, and
Yep.
I think we come up with like 400 and something approaches and that sort of stuff,
Mhm.
that you can't expect perfection because it's not possible. And especially when you're doing the work under live traffic. So it's,
Yeah.
it's never new, because it's not like you have a ribbon cutting and now this is the first person to
Mhm.
drive on it. It's just constantly being used. And so, and you brought up another good point, Myron. Right, I think that the county certainly should be, I don't know the correct term here, I'll use grateful for lack of a better term.
That's a good term.
That the developer themselves did step up to the plate, and they
Yeah.
followed through with their agreement with the county at the onset,
Mm-hmm.
that they were going to come back and restore the roads. And it certainly took effort from multiple parties and a lot of people and a lot of patience by the by the county patrons, but yes, it
They did a good
it
job.
resulted.
Right. And I don't
Roads are in
know,
good shape with that.
yes, I want to thank you and Banner Associates for overseeing this project because you guys did a very good job of making sure things were on task as well and working with Rick. And so appreciate your efforts in this as well. So it's a group effort and yeah, just overall went very good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like
It's a big job.
it's a county team, so
Yes.
it takes everybody's.
Do you have copies for the media? that?
I can give you these copies if you'd like.
Give
Still
one to
didn't get
Steve
my
and one
driveway
to
paved
JT.
though.
Still didn't get your driveway
I
paved.
said I still didn't get my driveway paved though.
Yeah. You even knew the people to come to maybe make it happen.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All righty, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
Thank you, Waylon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to item number 9 then. Action to approve purchase of highway equipment from Sourcewell bid, and I will have Rick come up here. We have several items on there.
Yeah, I want to thank Banner and all the guys that worked on the project. This was a huge project. It was way bigger project than what the county could have taken care of ourselves.
Yes,
You know, I'm pretty proud of all the stuff that got done on this. So,
absolutely. Those
was-
agreements at the beginning were
yeah,
very much in our favor to do that. And yes. So,
yep, that was big to have those guys do it for us. So.
yes, absolutely.
All right, first one on the agenda, I do believe, is the tractor.
Yep.
This is 631M John Deere tractor. It matches the same as what we purchased, I do believe, in 2015. This tractor will also get used for pulling the packers when we chip seal, pulling a disc. We have another set of tires off the one that we have that we can take and transfer back and forth to work on this tractor. So second is
You'll need to take these in separate,
oh, okay,
Okay.
sorry.
and you do need to mention these are being purchased off the bid.
Okay, yep, and this is off Sourcewell. This is through Kibble Equipment here in Watertown. The price is $104,431.60. This is, like Cindy said, this is off a Sourcewell quote.
And these are budgeted items.
Yes, this
And-
is all budgeted
I'll
items.
make
This
a
is-
motion to approve the first.
Okay, motion by Van Duzen. Have a second?
Yeah. I was like,
Second by Johnson. This is the 613, right? You had said 631, but is this the 613 or 6?
61.
I just want to make sure that we, yeah, the very first one.
6130M
Okay,
John Deere tractor.
yeah. I just want to make sure, because I thought you said 6,
No,
31.
that next one should say 6130 also,
okay,
not 6310. They're both 6130. One is a cab tractor and
Okay.
one is not.
all right.
I'm asking, where are you seeing that?
I'm
Well,
looking
on
on
the
the
agenda.
agenda.
No,
Oh,
it's on the agenda.
Oh, okay. I'm
That's
like,
why I was
They
confused.
are both 6130s. One's a
Okay.
cab tractor, the other's not.
All right.
Is that the difference?
Yeah, I just, yeah,
it's only one tractor, so
okay.
it should be,
Well, all right, what is this?
that is more.
Okay,
And by the way, the cab is on the
Okay.
tractor.
Yeah.
So A and B is one item then?
no,
No.
A is a cab tractor, B is a mower,
Mhm.
not a cab tractor.
Okay, I didn't,
Or not a
Okay.
tractor, it's a mower.
Okay.
I didn't bring up the,
Although
Oh,
it says
it's-
tractor made and tractor model.
Yeah,
That's where I got the
Oh.
tractor part.
okay, yeah, because this mower goes on this tractor, so that's,
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry for the
Yeah, you
confusion.
do need separate action on each
Okay.
item. so.
Okay.
So right now we're doing the 6130M cab tractor, John Deere. And we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Was that aye, Commissioner Gable?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. That motion carries. Item number B then, under that is the John Deere.
Nope.
Okay, the
Tractor.
next is the mowers. I got a Sourcewell quote from Diamond, and Tiger mowers. Both of them are good mowers. Diamond was the lowest on the quote at 48,804. And Tiger was 49,535.78. And my recommendation is go with Diamond mower.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Gable. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Gable,
Aye.
any opposed? Not hearing any, that motion carries also. Okay, then we'll move on to the mid-mount side rotary mower and 3-point
That-
offset rear, or is that
No,
what that was?
that was part of that
Okay,
mower.
so we
Yeah.
have these, A and B
Oh,
was
I
the
thought you
same
were
thing.
buying both of these.
Okay,
That,
I did not realize these were two different quotes on the same one.
yeah, one's
Same type of thing.
side mower and one's a rear mower. It goes on the same tractor.
okay,
So we are not, that was just one.
One,
one,
Item.
okay,
item,
A and B
yep.
was one, okay, that's, okay, now we'll move
B and
on
C
to,
were one.
One tractor, one,
one, and two mowers,
two mowers.
Okay.
one tractor. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
So
right.
are we doing D now?
Yes.
Okay, the Crystal 16-foot 4-inch select dump body.
Okay, this is a quote that we got from Northern Truck. They're the ones that have put the boxes on our trucks. The last time we bid it, the other guys didn't meet all the specs and they were all higher than what we were. This is just under the 50,000 to purchase the dump body for the truck that we purchased or just did here in the last month. So
And this is the body to
this
it.
is the body to it.
What's the time frame for this, Rick? Being able to get this and get it installed and
Your guess is as good as anybody else's.
don't know.
No,
Does the price include installation?
yes,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
And that's $49,430.
That price is locked in.
Yep, yep.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, motion by Van
Second.
Duzen, second by Gable. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Commissioner Gable,
Aye.
any opposed? Not hearing any, that motion carries.
And all of these, there's no guarantee when they're gonna come. The tractor, roughly 8 to 10 months. The mower after that is another 8 to 10 weeks. The dump body, they can't tell me when the truck's gonna come. So they can't make arrangements. They just want to get the things ordered, so it's all together. I'm just hoping it comes before the end of this year. That's the only thing we can hope for. Hopefully things will mellow out, but I don't foresee it in the near future, so we're at the mercy of everybody else.
Right, but all the prices are locked in, whatever it is, it
Yep.
is.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
very
Thanks,
good.
Rick.
Thank you, Rick. All right, item number 10, action to approve abatement applications.
We have 15 abatement applications,
Wow.
and these applicants are protected by HIPAA, so that is why you do not see anything in your packets. The 15 abatement applications come to abatements of $12,416.26. These 15 applicants qualify for a state assessment freeze program, and it is based on their age and income. And their names are protected by HIPAA regulations.
All
These
right,
have been checked out by the treasurer's office. Everything's been verified and they do qualify. A number of these have also gone to the city of Watertown, as they also have to take action on the properties located in the city of Watertown.
Move to
Approve.
second.
a motion by Johnson, second by Van Duzen. Any questions or comments on that? Not hearing any, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Commissioner Gable,
Aye.
any opposed? Not hearing any, that motion carries. And item number 11, action to approve operating cash transfers as budgeted.
When we prepared the 2022 budget, there are a number of funds that do not generate enough revenue to cover their budget themselves. So this is money transferred from the general fund. And the transfers will go into the road and bridge fund in the amount of $1,180,360. Emergency management fund, $206,197. Victims of crime fund, $90,565. And the WIC fund in the amount of $25,550. And these are annual operating cash transfers. The total amount to be transferred from the general fund is $1,502,672.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, got a motion by Gable. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Van Duzen. Any comments or questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gable?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. That motion carries. Item number 12, action to approve application of the Homeland Security Grant Funds.
And we just need to authorize the Emergency Management Office to apply for Homeland Security grant funds.
It's a yearly thing.
Yes, it is. Every time there's a new
So
grant
moved.
round, we have to apply for it.
All right, motion by Waterman,
Second.
Second.
second by Johnson. Any other comments or questions? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gable?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. That motion carries. Item number 13, action to approve the 2022 wage scale. I'll have that.
So back in 2021, this board took action to approve a new wage and compensation scale that took effect September 1st. Then after that, I believe it was November, or December, the board took additional action to apply a 1.75% COLA to each of those steps within that wage and compensation study. And that is what you have in front of you is the result of the 1.75% increase.
So moved.
Motion by Van Duzen,
Second.
second by Gable. Any comments or questions on that? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gable?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. That motion carries. Item number 14, review possible action to approve liquor license resolution.
So back in 2014, the County Commission Board determined that a liquor license in Codington County was an asset and should be treated as a source of revenue. So back on the 26th day of August, 2014, the board took action to set a price for the application of our remaining liquor license. And it was $18 per person based on the latest census of Codington County, which amounts to $83,196. This is the census of Codington County outside the municipalities because that's where our licenses are set. So if you want to continue in that manner, the resolution does need to be updated because we do now have an additional liquor license due to the census, the new census. We had a fraction of a number over the base, which added another 1,500 in census for the county. So we do now have 2 liquor licenses that will be available for application. And if you continue with the $18, it would be a population of 4,634 times the $18 comes to $83,412 for the application of any liquor licenses in Codington County, which there are 2 available at this time.
What was that figure again, Cindy?
$83,412. It's an increase of $216 over the previous resolution. And the resolution will also be upgraded to show that we have 7 we can have 7 liquor licenses in the county, and all but 2 of those are spoken for.
Oh, this was in 2014.
This was in 2014.
2014.
And it was based on the 2010 census.
Okay.
So
And
now that we have a new census number, we can increase, we realize we have another license available.
And they won at 83,000, didn't sell.
Nobody has applied for it.
Nobody applied for it.
Nobody has applied for it.
$18 might have been a figure back then per person, but since then there has been a number of off-sale beer licenses. Or is this just for?
This is just liquor.
On-sale liquor.
This is on sale liquor. We have an unlimited amount of on/off sale
Yeah.
malt beverages. We are not limited on those.
Right.
It's just liquor licenses that we are limited on, so by statute.
I guess.
There's a question, Cindy, that I have. Well, it was asked here a couple weeks ago. This, they have to buy the license. There can't be a, let's say, for a short term. I mean, they have to buy it for the full year. I mean, when they pay this,
There are other types of licenses available for a weekend event or something
Mhm.
like that.
This license is for an
But
established.
forever.
This is an annual
This is-
license,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So this is,
And then it has a renewal fee of $850 or $600.
About 10%.
$850
that's an
is
annual.
the annual
renewal,
renewal fee
yeah.
on top of what you pay to apply.
And these are transferable.
Yes, they are
Okay.
between, yep.
Mhm.
that goes through the state though, right? Isn't that
No, this money
approved?
stays with the county.
No, I mean, the transfer part, isn't
No.
that done through the state?
Nope.
That can be done at the local
That,
level?
for liquor licenses, everything stays local. For malt beverage, it's a 50-50 split.
Have we had any inquiries about this at all?
I've had some inquiries, but the amount has been a deterrent. The amount that we have on these has been a deterrent to a couple of people who have questioned.
Cindy, where did the $18 per person price come from
That
originally?
was set by the
Be the
board back
weekly
in
cost to have it, so you-
2014, and
you would
I
have to
could not
generate
tell
revenue.
you where that $18 arrived from back then. I think they checked around to maybe with the city of Watertown to see what they were charging, and that's about what it came out to.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
So what's the board's wishes? Do we want to continue on what has been set before us to do the $18 per whatever that census
Oh, here, Lee,
population?
sorry. The charge that a county may charge for on sale issued outside municipalities an amount not less than the maximum that the municipality to which the applicant is nearest is charging for the licenses. So the city of Watertown is where we got that number back in 2014.
So is that saying we can't charge lower than what the city charges? Is that, did I understand that?
I would have to go back and look at that statute again.
Can we just table this for a week?
Sure. You don't even need to table it. I mean, you can just decide further.
Put this
More
on next
information.
week's agenda.
Okay.
When was the last license sold? You remember? I don't remember it my term, my time.
Country Road, Lauren,
There
that was a transfer.
transfer.
That was a
There
transfer from Rockville.
Rawville Station to Country Road
Yeah.
Barn. That's the last time. There was an auction held for the right to apply for a license.
Was that previous to this
Um,
resolution, right?
And that happened in 2010. And because the county did not have this resolution in place, there was a bid of, we had to go with a bid of $20,237. And that's when the board determined that they should take action to
To set it.
protect our
Set it.
asset.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
And there was no time frame when that had to be acted on, was there?
No, there was not.
But can that go in perpetuum?
Because the board did not, when this auction was held, the board did not have anything in place saying when the applicant had to make application. And they did pay for it, so.
So
A short history.
there were some interesting incentives. Okay.
Well, I think we tabled this for a week it's gonna
Yeah,
come
we'll
back
just-
next week. That'll give us some time to visit with some folks and
Yeah.
curious about what the city is doing with theirs right now too.
What they charge.
Mhm.
All right, item number 15, action to approve claims for payment.
Not today.
Okay, action to approve automatic budget supplements.
We have one automatic budget supplement in the amount of $60,638. And that will go into the Hall Road Restoration budget and the Road and Bridge budget for a claim that we paid the contractor in the month of January. Since it was
To approve.
since this Hall Road Restoration project was an unbudgeted project and we received funds ahead of time, we can make an automatic supplement so that it's a wash in the highway budget.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, motion by Van Duzen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Gable. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Commissioner Gable?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that motion carries. Item number 17, action to approve personnel changes.
None today.
Item number 18, action to approve travel requests. We have several of those.
The Emergency Management Department, the Director and Secretary. Purpose of travel is a regional meeting in Aberdeen. And there are a number for the ag building, government building. We passed government buildings, senior maintenance tech. Purpose of travel is the ornamental and turf recertification. Also, the lead maintenance employee at the ag building to attend that event. And the facilities manager. And then commercial applicator recertification training for the facilities manager. Then the facilities manager, purpose of travel, Sioux Falls Farm Show. The Wheaton Test Conference for the employee who does spraying for the weed department, along with one of the board members and the facility manager. And then the highway superintendent to attend the superintendent's short course.
Can we take these all in one motion?
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion by Johnson, second by Waterman. Any comments, questions on those?
Cindy, you said that there was a travel request for the EM director assistant. I don't see that in here,
The
but,
secretary
Yeah,
and
the
the
first
EM
one's in the
director.
pile.
Yeah.
okay,
There's a
maybe it
question.
got mixed in with the rest. but
Okay.
If you got it,
there
that's
was one
fine.
For each of them to
On
attend
the screen.
a regional meeting. Yep.
There it is.
Oh, there it
Thanks,
is.
Lee.
Okay.
Be good for them to get around and meet some of the new people.
All right, so we have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Gable?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that motion carries. How about public notices, possible quorum of commissioners? Any events that we can think of that there could be? I don't know if there'll be other ones at the State Central Committee meeting out in Pier. I don't have anything else up till next Tuesday that I can find. County Government Day will be Thursday out in here. That's all I have. All right, how about old business? Is there any old business? New business? How about anything for the open? Do we have a need for executive session? All right, look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Johnson,
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Oh, sorry.
second by Van Duzen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Gable,
Aye.
any opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.